Unturned is presented by UpdateAI.
So you guys prioritize subject matter expertise over customer success experience?
Absolutely. Yep. I think this is fair to say. I think every single person I hired at Logic8 did not have a customer success background. They came from consulting in that subject matter expert area.
And would you say that attributed to your personal success when you went over Logic8?
Definitely. I would say yes.
He just starts the podcast because he loves the banter and he likes to humiliate the rest of us because he feels alone in his humiliation for most
It's not
weeks.
just that I like the banter. By the way, we've started. Welcome everybody to Unturned, the CSMBS episode. I'm Josh, here with Kristi. We have with us a special guest, and we're going to learn more about her in a second. Kristi, people like the banter. Like you do understand that, right?
I know. People come for the banter. They stay for the content. I get it.
Right,
I get it.
Right. So we have to start.
But I only like the banter when you're the one that looks bad. I don't like the banter when I'm the one with the shortcoming.
But that naturally happens anyways, so don't worry.
I know.
About
you're going to shine like you always do.
That. I got you covered. Hey, everybody, I'm Josh Schachter. I'm the founder, CEO, and head banterer of UpdateAI. Kristi Faltorusso. I already did the introduction, but I just said Josh.
You're like the lead troublemaker. That's what we should call you.
Well, that's a different issue. You know that for my bar mitzvah, my mom she recommended that the song that I come out to for my bar mitzvah party would be I Fight Authority, Authority Always Wins by John Mellencamp.
Wow.
Can you think of anything more perfect for me, Kristi?
Probably not.
No, that's just...
I mean...
Yeah.
Actually, let me come back to next week's episode with a better song. Let me see if I can find a more current song that maybe has matured with you and your antics.
No way. There's no fucking way that you remember to come back.
We're gonna look. I'm gonna go on a hunt and I'm gonna find something.
So Kristi, do you want to introduce our guest?
I would love for our guest to introduce herself. I didn't do my introduction.
No.
Wait,
Kristi doesn't know how to pronounce our guest's name.
I'll give you a clue.
I know it, but
Szuyin?
I know how to...
Szuyin? Is it Szuyin?
Exactly. You nailed it.
Szuyin, right?
Szuyin.
Yes. The Z is silent. The Z is what throws everyone off. And my dad chose this spelling for my name when I was born, because he was like, I want her name to be unique. You know, like Szuyin wasn't unique enough growing up in America. So that's where the silent Z comes from.
Well, but the silent Z is it a Chinese background, your first name?
My name's Chinese, yes. But the silent Z is not a traditional spelling or anything like that. It's just what my dad decided to do. Yeah.
Kristi, I went on to ChatGPT earlier today and I typed in Szuyin's name and ChatGPT told me exactly how to pronounce it. So
this is why I really like if on everyone's LinkedIn, and I do believe you have it, you have the little microphone next to it. So I'm sure if I go to your LinkedIn profile, you've got the correct enunciation. I just didn't click on it yet, but I do see that you have it. And I think everyone should add that. So for everyone who's listening, if you have, it doesn't even matter what your name is, even if your name is Mike Smith, please go over to LinkedIn and just upload a recording of how to say your name. And then people are likely to get it right at least 1% more often than they do today.
Absolutely. It makes it a lot easier.
And quick tip, there's a workaround too. So if you guys go to Kristi's profile and you hit on her pronunciation thing, she quickly sneaks in there. Hi, I'm Kristi Faltorusso, CCO of Client Success. Have 20 years.
I do not do that. Although now I'm going to go back and try to see how fast I could say it.
That's like the 1-800-COLLECT advertisement, commercials where it's like, "Hi, I am calling for. We just had a baby. His name is Mike. Blah blah blah." Try to sneak the message in your first name. Anyways, so should we Szuyin, who are you? What do you do? We'd love to learn about you.
And how did Josh trick you to coming to the podcast this afternoon?
Well, it actually wasn't Josh. I came willingly. But maybe, who knows? Maybe if the banter continues and turns bad for me, I'll regret it later.
Sounds like so many dates that I've been on in the past.
I am currently the VP of Customer Experience at a company called Transcend. We are a data privacy infrastructure company. So we help organizations with the most complex, messy data ecosystems figure out how to do privacy. And ultimately, our mission is to enable everyone, you, me, all of us, to be able to have our data rights protected. So if you think about, when you visit a website and you might see a little banner pop up asking, how can we use your data? That's one of the types of products that we provide. We also help with.
You mean this is like GDPR, CCPA type of stuff? The cookie
exactly
consent?
Right. Yes. That's exactly right. Yep. So all of those regulations that we are starting to catch up to now here in the U.S. Is what we help to empower our customers to automate within their organizations. And we're also branching now into more data governance more broadly.
The other thing that I do is I interrupt mid-sentence. So sorry.
Oh, no, totally fine.
Yeah, see, I pause and wait. I only interrupt Josh, not our guests.
This is true, and our listeners can vouch for that. Are you hip to all the, because I actually very recently, I'm sorry that I didn't know of you guys at the time, I very recently took UpdateAI through our GDPR and CCPA process and all that. And so we looked at some different solutions out there, and it became, I became informed that what started out as just like the California Privacy Act has now become California, Colorado. Apparently Texas is about to have the most strict guidelines. Can you tell folks out there like what's going on in North America with following the pursuit of GDPR?
Yeah. So North America, well, one of the things that I'm sure many of the listeners are aware of, is we are different than the EU in that here in the US, we don't have a federal regulatory requirement for things like data privacy. So right now it is at the state level, and it certainly did start with California's regulation, but we are absolutely seeing more and more activity in various state legislatures, with lots of states looking to implement varying levels of privacy regulation, but certainly something that is great for a business like ours because there's just constant change. And, we actually work with some advisory firms that keep us constantly up to date because it really is changing at a very quick pace on a nearly daily basis.
I mean, an entrepreneur once told me years ago that fortunes are made in times of regulation. So that's good for your business. Like it's true, right? Like people buy products for 3 reasons, either to help them make money, to help them save money, or to help them with compliance and security risks. So,
for sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
What's your profile as a company? You guys are what stage are you at in terms of just your general funding and size of the company? And I know you're based in Hawaii, correct?
I am based in Hawaii, but the company, Transcend as a whole, we are fully remote. So we do not have a headquarters. Our team is all over, mostly in the US, but I actually have a team member based in the UAE. So we definitely have folks all across the world. And we are early stage. We are currently Series A, but definitely in that very high growth stage of a company.
And you've been there for 8 months?
I have. I joined in June of, 7 months. Is that right? 7 months.
LinkedIn always gives you a bonus month, right? Like when you
is
add
that what
your
it is?
dates in.
Okay.
It said because LinkedIn says 8 months, but that's because it calculates off of whatever month and year you put in.
That makes sense. Yes. Yeah. So just over half a year.
Kristi,
Josh, you're going to ask or say something witty? No. I want to go. It's my turn. You asked.
This is why I paused, so you could go. Go. Kristi and I love each other, by the way. We're actually friends. Okay.
He thinks because he invites me to his 40th birthday party that we're friends.
And now the whole world knows that I'm
acquaintances.
Thanks, Kristi.
What, that you're getting old?
Yeah.
But you don't have gray in your beard yet, so that's good.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. I want to talk about your title at Transcend. So your title is VP of Customer Experience. And
that's right.
Following your track record here, right? You're at LogicGate, you're a VP of Customer Success. Is it different at Transcend? Why are you customer experience? Are you actually doing customer experience? Is that just the naming convention that they use? What is the scope of the work that you're doing?
Yeah, really good question. So when I first interviewed for this job, I actually asked a similar question. And I actually didn't know when I first got the job offer what title would be listed because they were still kind of deciding back and forth. But the background on Transcend is our 2 co-founders. They actually met at Harvard in the engineering program. And so they are both deep builders and coders. And our whole company really comes from those origins. And so before I joined, the CX organization that we had here at Transcend was really our CTO. and folks within the engineering org. And so our team the team I lead today is very technical. We absolutely are focused on customer experience and do a lot of the kind of traditional things you might see in a customer success org. But we started more focused just on implementation and onboarding and some of the services to drive that, as well as ongoing support. And I would say we're just now in the past 6 months starting to build out kind of more of the true customer success motions with our first CSM hire. But I think a key difference for me between what I was doing at LogicGate as VP of customer success there versus here at Transcend is at LogicGate, we were building out a much more robust services organization to support the customer success program. That was required just given the complexity of implementation and configuration at LogicGate. But here at Transcend, we're trying to lean a lot more into that true SaaS model of building the platform in a way where customers can get up and running on their own. That said, it's still a very technical and complex solution. So in the CX world, really what that means here at Transcend is we're kind of bridging that gap between product and our engineering team and some of the best practices of customer success to make the most easy, intuitive customer experience for our customers.
Awesome. So now you're going to go hire your first CSM. What is that role going to look like? Oh, you have. You hired your first one. Okay. So talk to me. So in a very technical ecosystem, what's that CSM responsible for? What are they doing?
Yeah. So the other thing to keep in mind is just the stage that we're at right now. So given that we are, Series A, right now, the main thing I'm having that CSM focus on is just getting our renewals management in order to make sure that we have, proper health around retention. Luckily, our product is pretty sticky. And so once our customers get up and running successfully, that job is relatively easy. But of course, as everyone knows, just given the state of the economy and financial health of a lot of our customers, there's certainly still work to be done there. So that's the primary responsibility that our CSM is working on today. And then after that, what we're having her focus on is strategic accounts, figuring out how to engage with them in strategic business reviews, a lot of the traditional CS type motions. For everyone else be outside of that strategic bucket, we're working on more tech touch, low touch motions that's being owned by a strategy and ops role that we have.
What tools are you guys using for your tech and low touch motions?
Yes. Nothing formal today. We do not have a CS platform. Since we are a very engineering driven org, we actually are, we were previously using a tool called Airplane, which is kind of like it basically can hook up to a data warehouse and you can create different tasks and dashboards, but it is kind of, you have to code it, so our CTO is building a lot of that for us. Airplane has actually recently been acquired by Airtable and is now going to be ending their service in March. So we're currently switching over to a new tool called Retool. But I would say definitely an option that probably only makes sense if you have a true deep engineering resource in your organization. But for us, we're really excited about it because we get to create everything we need custom to us.
That's great. I've heard great things about Retool. Yeah. I didn't realize that Retool was actionable. I know that you can create custom dashboards and things like that, but you can actually create workflows with Retool.
Yeah, you can create different task forms. Yeah.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay, I got to ask a question. So you hired this first CSM. Their primary responsibility is getting all the renewal stuff in order. Why not hire a renewals manager to start? And then as you continue to evolve your process, then hire really somebody who actually has the experience to do the strategic stuff on the strategic book. So why start by labeling them CSM if their primary responsibilities are really just on the commercial end?
You're calling me out on something, Kristi, because
I'm calling everybody out on everything because you are not alone, my friend. You are not alone.
Here's the total honest truth. When I first put out that job description, there was what I would call basically just a miscommunication between me and our sales leader on who was going to be owning renewals. And so once our first CSM came on board, she actually had to take parental leave her first month in. And then when she came back, I told her, hey, surprise, you're not actually going to be working on just strategic accounts and strategic business reviews. We need you to focus on renewals. So a good learning opportunity for me on how critical it is to stay very much in lockstep with all of the leaders across the org. But luckily it worked out really well. This particular team member was totally willing to take on this other area of responsibility, and definitely finding that it's actually, I think, making her a deeper expert on our product, because she has to know each and every one of the products that we're selling in order to do those renewals.
I want to make sure I understood you correctly. So you and your head of sales both plan to own renewals. Yeah.
Well, my misunderstanding was that I thought our head of sales was going to be owning renewals through an AE that he had hired that was focused on the customer base. But he wanted that AE to focus purely on expansion for the most part. So actually now with knowing that this is kind of going to be shared between our orgs, what we focused on is reviewing our full book of renewals for the year and identifying which ones we thought would include more significant expansion opportunities, and having those renewals be owned by that AE. And then all the other renewals are being owned by my CSM.
How do you feel about that, Kristi? I don't have an opinion, but you must.
I think it's an interesting model. Well, you mentioned in one of your descriptions or something that you guys have a lot of products, right? How many products do you have?
We have 14 technically today.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of products. Yes. Okay. Yes. So in that case, I think it makes sense, right? Because if I'm understanding this correctly, right, with each of these products, it's a different sales motion, right? Are you approaching it that way where it almost feels like a net new sale when you're doing those?
Yeah, it's like really the primary path for expansion is cross-sell for us right now. We have some usage levers for upsell, but most are cross-sell, and it would be, a new demo per product.
Yeah. So in that case, Josh, my opinion is why I ask questions, because it always depends. In this case, I'm very supportive of that model, because you do need an AE who does have that level of comfort and experience with that sales motion. And you don't want to detract the responsibilities and the focus areas of the woman who's managing this, trying to do that too. You're just going to set them up to fail. So that makes sense.
Yeah, we'll see if it works. I'll give you an update. This is really,
listen, and if it doesn't, like the cool thing about it is you could just change it. Like
exactly.
That's the other thing, right? I think that we all just need to be open to modifying what doesn't work, and fail fast, fix it, course correct, and try something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it seems like maybe right now you're okay. Good.
Yes.
It doesn't even matter what stage you're at. I feel like everyone just needs to operate that way. If something's not working, change it.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Amen.
Yes.
To that.
Wait, I want to take this conversation back a little bit further, because what I love about what I've been seeing here, or Josh doesn't love that I always bring this up, you started off in consulting?
I did.
I say this because it's like I have this, like I am attached to these people that start their careers in consulting and then find themselves in the exact same place that I am. And I'm like, I feel like I'm at a complete disadvantage never having done consulting. So
wait,
can you tell me about your time?
Before we go to Szuyin,
there we go.
I want to do a little therapy with Kristi.
I know. He wants to talk about my insecurities about never having been in consulting. Is that what you want to do?
Well, like, where is it coming from, Kristi? Or like, you kind of just said it right there. Is it because you feel like, well, I mean, nobody's beating you to the punch right now at client success. You're the CCO, right? So it's you and Dave.
Yes.
Like, so it's not like you're being like passed for promotion by people that were consultants. Now maybe that's happening for job interviewing. I don't know.
I am not interviewing anywhere. See, you're such an instigator.
But like,
this is how rumors get started, Josh.
It is. But where does it does it come from a place where like the people that work for you that are the highest performers you see come from consulting? Is it a place?
No, it comes from this podcast that is giving me a complex because you guys seem to find all these folks that have these really amazing consulting experiences that I didn't have. And even though I know the work is super hard, but I have to feel like you guys come out of that with like a PhD in everything. And I think it makes you better leaders. And I think it enhances your skill set in ways that maybe just coming up in the way I did, I might be lacking. So that's why I'm interested in hearing about her journey in consulting.
What I would say, Kristi, is I think consulting is more so just an accelerator for some of those skill sets. It's not a requirement in order to get those skill sets. But I definitely did find that being in the consulting world and starting my career there was a huge part of the foundational skill set to help me in customer success. I mean, just everything you learn about how to cultivate client relationships, And just really about, I mean, honestly, I think one of the best skill sets is learning about how to ask good questions, which both of you need to know how to do,
Yeah, Josh, you need to learn how to do that.
It did sound like that's what she was saying. I do agree.
You better work on that, Josh.
Yeah.
Right. See, Josh?
I think it's about asking questions. And then one of the things I talked about a lot in consulting and, now in the customer success world is it's also just about understanding how to communicate with the customer where you are guiding them without them realizing that you're guiding them. Like they kind of feel like it's their idea, but really you're the one putting that idea in their head. Not to sound manipulative, but I think that's one of the best skills of a consultant is, to give an idea to a client, but let them take credit for it.
Sounds highly manipulative.
I know.
Definitely sounds like Josh has a background in consulting.
Consultants.
Okay, so then how did you take what you did at PwC and how is that the catalyst for you breaking into customer success?
Yeah, so at PwC, I specialized in cybersecurity strategic consulting. So it was a more technical side of consulting. And at Logic8, when the CEO first reached out to me there, he was looking for someone with a background in cyber that came from consulting. So, I just happened to fit that profile. I was based in Chicago at the time, and that's where Logic8 was founded. So I think it was really for me just a serendipitous right place, right time kind of moment. But I really found that jumping into the customer success world was the right place for me. And it also helped that I was getting burnt out, traveling every week and flying on planes all the time. So
that'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it looks like you got your PhD in customer. No, what? God, here we go.
Kristi Faltorusso show. In regards to consulting. So
yeah,
I think consulting is one of those things where everybody's like, thank God I did it. I'd never do it again. Right. It's a beast and a burden, but it is such an accelerant, like you said, Szuyin. And it is the best place to grow up in the business world professionally. I think what makes the most effective skills that come out of consulting for folks that, are listening to this that haven't been consultants is just structure. It's honestly, it's because it's just ingrained into you. And some people naturally already have that structure. And so they don't need to go and get groomed in consulting. Kristi, I believe you have that structure. You showed me before all of your content that you've produced over the years and how it's structured and this and that. And just to do all the different enterprising things that you do, there's no way you could do that if you were not structured. Right. And you also take close attention to detail, which is another virtue of being a consultant, because you prepare a deck and you get all these little really fucking annoying comments from the partner. They call them partner comments because the partners are trying to prove their value. So they'll say, okay, well, this is, 2 pixels off to the left or whatever. Right. But Kristi, you also have that skill. I got to be careful here. I'm getting too. But
you want to know why?
Kristi.
Okay. Do you want to know why?
Look, because your mic flag says KF, right?
It does.
You pay attention to the little details. And
totally.
I think the structure, paying attention to little details, that's what matters from consulting. And when you do those things, I think you become a higher performer. And I think that consultants, when you leave the consulting world, you have less tolerance for lower performers who are not doing those things. And so you're therefore able to build an organization that, has the right practices in place and therefore moves together more aligned and more structured and those sorts of things. So for anybody, it's geez, what am I missing? I didn't go to consulting. I didn't, work for a consulting. Those are the things, just be structured and have close attention to detail and do everything at a very excellent level. I don't think it's about,
Josh, now I'm going to crush all your hopes and dreams. Listen to this. But my leader for nearly 6 years at Bright Edge, which I started in tech, came from McKinsey. So I was groomed by a consultant.
Right.
I was groomed by this consultant. So I was brainwashed. So all the things that you guys got the experience.
A woman or a man?
It was a gentleman.
So, and the guy was
amazing.
I still a pain in the ass, right? But he was a huge pain in the ass.
He was hard. He was hard. He was hard. But he was, but I walked away from that thinking like I would never be the leader I am today if I didn't spend those 6 years under him.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
so I'm always
You've been
grateful
a
for that
consultant
time.
then, Kristi.
Right. Okay. But
and take like
I'm going to get over this complex one
our
day.
new head of customer success, who we're going to officially announce on Thursday, but this won't be posted until Wednesday morning, so that's fine. Jessica Cohen, right? She's never been in consulting, I don't believe, but one of her previous jobs just a couple of years ago was to work as a customer success manager for Slack. And guess what? Slack hires former consultants because it's all change management, because they're trying to change organizations to go from email to instant. So they hire just consultants. So she has that consulting type process. Even though she never came from consulting, I'm probably completely off. She probably worked for 10 years in consulting. I just don't know it. But the point is, like, it's still, that's what really makes the biggest difference, I think, in consultants. So there, I'm done. And now we can talk on whatever else you want.
I think this goes back to like, pick a leader, not a job, right? So if I didn't come from that background, I want to develop those skills. I want to go work under somebody who can groom me and help develop me in the areas that I might not be as strong, right? So I didn't seek out working for the leader I did. It was a happy accident. But I look back at all the days, even the days where there was lots of tears, and there was plenty of those. And I am so grateful for everything I learned. And I do think that it has prepared me for the opportunities I've taken on in my career.
It's pick a leader, not a job, but it's also just fucking do it. Like, it sucks. Like I spent yesterday, we're recording this on Monday. I spent Sunday doing a timeline of like my tasks and like roadmap for like an event coming up that we're doing in March. And then I spent, the other half of Saturday doing like a product roadmap Gantt chart. And I was procrastinating, and it freaking sucks. But like, you just do it. Like, anybody can do a Gantt chart. You don't have to go to like be a consultant. Just fucking do it. It's not as fun as the social posts or whatever, but just like, that's my answer to it.
Well, while you were building Gantt charts, I was meal prepping for 4 hours on Sunday. So we just had a different day. But I was also preparing, I think. Okay. Anyway, Szuyin, can we go back to your time at Logic Monitor? I want to talk about that because you started off as a CSM, and in 5 years you made your way to VP. And so like that is the journey that I had at Bright Edge, where I went from a senior CSM when I joined, being a subject matter expert. So just like yourself, made it to a VP role, and then obviously took that to different opportunities. So I want to hear about your journey there, because you spent 5.5 years there. So what did that look like for you?
Yeah. So it's Logic8, not Logic.
Oh, Logic. Sorry, that's my bad.
Totally fine.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The poor man's Logic Monitor. Logic.
Logic8.
So at Logic8, when I joined, I was the second CSM. So there was a CSM there before me, and he was old friends with the founders at Logic8. They actually all met in consulting as well. So I came in and joined, and really what happened is as we grew up together as a company, what we found is that the first CSM that was there, he started to take over more of the technical support org. And it just, I think maybe because of the type of consulting I had done previously, the customer success motion just came really naturally to me, and I was very passionate about it. And one of the things that I really loved, and what I found was kind of my superpower, which I didn't know about before, was finding really incredible people, and just, I think, having a knack for hiring a strong team. And so as I demonstrated that I could do that and do that at scale, that is really, I think, what allowed me to just continue to grow in influence at Logic8.
So, all right, give me your hiring tips then, because I'm 50-50 on my hiring, but I won't even say a but. What makes you so great at hiring? What are you looking for when you hire?
Structure and attention to detail.
Yeah.
Consulting background.
I'm going to say my answer might even, make you even more upset, Kristi, but we
did
figure
out the haves and the have-nots
that the best profile. So I will say, I think it is about honing in on your profile of your ideal candidate for your team. And what we did find was the best profile for our particular flavor of CSMs at Logic8 was folks that had experience in consulting within the governance, risk, and compliance space. The reason why we ended up doing and building our team in that way, and I actually say we hired that way for both our services, like implementation team, as well as our customer success managers. And it was because, especially on the services side, we found that it just was so valuable for those team members to have experience implementing a GRC, a governance risk and compliance program within multiple organizations. But we also weren't looking to hire folks that had necessarily been in the industry for years and years and years, just frankly, because we couldn't afford it. So if we wanted to find less experienced talent that could still say they had all those at bats, so we needed to get it in the consulting world. Well, maybe we didn't need to, but that's where we found it was easiest.
That was your profile,
talent.
and it worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys prioritize subject matter expertise over customer success experience.
Absolutely. Yep. I think this is fair to say. I think every single person I hired at Logic8 did not have a customer success background. They came from consulting in that subject matter expert area.
And would you say that attributed to your personal success when you went over Logic8?
Definitely. I would say yes.
Okay, so I say this because I feel like there are a lot of leaders that over-index on the customer success experience and forget the value of quick learning subject matter experts. And in my experience, I would always rather prefer a subject matter expert than someone who's got 10 years of customer success experience. It's just my preference now. I've done this long enough. And even as myself, right? I started off as a CSM. I came into an organization as a subject matter expert. I was one of their customers. So that's how I actually broke in. And then all of my jobs in between, I don't think I was as successful because I couldn't connect with my customers and the change management that was required because I didn't have the industry expertise. So I always felt like my success was really related to my experiences. And so even at client success, I think I could be successful here. I like to think that I've been successful here because I've been a CS leader and I've used customer success software. So I just think it's interesting to say that your profile is aligned with the subject matter expertise. Your experience also would indicate that that's true. Yet we see so many leaders who would rather find somebody who's been a CSM 10 times over rather than focusing on folks that might have the experience that would actually help their customers.
You know why, Kristi? Because all it comes
Josh?
down to is structure and attention to detail. You can learn, like that's the key to being great at customer success, right? Like just be structured and enjoy helping people. And that's it.
I think it's a little more than that.
It is a little more than that. Whose pans are clinking in the background?
I thought that was your dog, Josh. And I was going to tell you, take the bowl away from her. I was like, take the bowl away from him because he's done eating. It sounds like a collar clicking on a metal bowl. No? Did anyone else think that was the noise we were hearing?
I'm pretty sure it's my blinds. I'm surprised you can hear it. I'm using a microphone that my husband uses for his recreational YouTubing. I don't normally have this set up, but that's why I also have this blue screen behind me.
Well, now I'm really interested in his YouTube channel.
Yeah, what does he YouTube?
He YouTubes himself doing crosswords. Ooh.
Stop. Exciting. Are you serious?
I'm serious.
There is a channel for everything. I love that. I wish someone would do a video of me doing Wordle every day.
How does it work?
He actually has done Wordle on his channel before too.
Is he so good at Wordle?
He's very good at most word games. Yeah.
Word games. Okay.
Is it like the camera is bird's eye view and it's shooting down at his hand, like going over the New York Times crossword
No, he does it on his computer.
Josh, it's not like he's rolling out the New York Times and he's like, hold on, let me get my number 2 pencil going over here.
I mean,
is that the visual you had though? But Josh, was that the visual you had? The New York Times paper breaking it out?
You know what? It's like Kristi, back when we were in school, like you had the before you had PowerPoint, you had like the laminated, like the thin strips of clear paper
that went on the projector.
And you see the teacher's hand writing, right? Like, imagine something like that.
That's kind of what you thought this was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to let you down and disappoint you.
It's okay.
Maybe we'll do it though. We'll put the camera down and we'll do games. Okay, we won't do that.
You shared a story with us though, before the call with one of our producers, about an experience you had in college. Can you share that and how?
Yeah. So in college, my husband and I met through an organization called Dance Marathon. Are either of you familiar with it?
No, but now you definitely have to share a lot.
So it's the one we had, at least, was a fundraiser for Children's Miracle Network. And basically, you put on an event each year. Ours was 15 hours long, where people sign up and commit to stand for that entire time. And they raise money for Children's Miracle Network. And so we were part of the committee. We met on the committee called Recruitment and Morale, where we were supposed to recruit people to join the fundraiser, and then on the day of, keep morale up and keep people energized. And the committee leader we had told us about this concept called the monkey sphere, which is basically this like socio like physiological type concept of there's only so many people that one person that you can have a meaningful connection with. I could go into all the science of it, but basically like they did this anatomy research on the brains of primates, and they found that the larger size brain primates could connect with more people. They had a larger tribe that they were connected with. And when they looked at human brains, they found that, you know what, now I have to make sure that I actually have Dunbar's number right. Do you have it in the notes, Josh? 150. So 150 is the magic number for what is called Dunbar's number. And that basically says that you can have up to 150 meaningful connections. And beyond that, it's really hard for us as humans to actually connect with those people. Now, why we were talking about this in Dance Marathon is our committee leader told us that, if we wanted to actually recruit and hit our number that we were trying to get of number of people at the event, we would need to know more than 150 people and make meaningful connections with them. And so we were trying to kind of hack, like, how can we do that and recruit these people and bring them in? And that to me just has so many parallels to customer success. Like if you are working in the customer success world and you have a large book of accounts, assuming most of those accounts are going to have more than one contact, you're going to need to be able to connect with people beyond your monkey sphere, your Dunbar's number. And so a very simple methodology that I started to use in my Dance Marathon days that I've now carried over into the customer success world is just a spreadsheet. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it is structure, Josh. And I just call it my personal tidbit spreadsheet, and I pull it up basically in every interaction. And it's just got some standard columns like their name, their significant other, their family, their hometown, their hobbies, their pet names, typical things that may come up in small chat. And I pull it up every time, and it makes it just super easy to make it feel to each individual that you're talking to that you have that deeper connection with them. And it seems like very, very small little things, but I found it to be hugely helpful, both in my customer relationships as well as in my team member relationships. I use it in one-on-ones as well. So it's a small thing. It's back to my days of Dance Marathon, but I still use it every day today.
So I need to go back to this Dance Marathon. So you guys weren't dancing?
We did dance.
We're just standing.
I forgot a critical part.
Yeah, I was waiting for this. I'm like, wait, so tell me. Wait, so you just at the top of the hour you dance and then you stop and just continue to stand?
Yes. Well, so every hour on the hour we did this thing called the morale dance. And it was a big choreographed, usually a medley of songs. And the recruitment and morale committee would choreograph the whole morale dance. So that was another thing that we did. My husband and I we ended up leading that committee our senior year. And we then performed that morale dance as our first dance at our wedding. Fun tidbit. That's
cool.
So,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's cute. I like that.
But that's the Dance Marathon part, is you do the morale dance at the top of the hour. And then during the hour, there's usually like themes each hour. So there's different activities and I don't know, different games and things you can play. So you're not just standing the whole time.
Josh, I think we can turn your birthday party into this dance marathon.
To a dance marathon.
There you go.
Let's do it.
I would like to coordinate some dances with you.
Kristi, I'm ignoring that. How do you, what's your process for what Szuyin just said? Like, how do you recall the fun tidbits about customers?
I've been over here trying to just commit it to memory. Is that crazy? No, just kidding. Well, I do try to do that. I think I'm like mostly good at it. To your point, it is hard. But I do like, my things are like the repeating someone's name multiple times throughout a call, making sure that I bring back the details that I can recall. But honestly, we use client success for everything. So just like you're using your spreadsheets, we've got sections in the platform that allow us to manage information at a contact level. So if I'm getting on a call with a customer, I pull up client success, and then I've got all the information about the individuals that I'm connecting with. And so
Totally.
I use that as my space to like keep my little notes, and it allows me to prepare. So if I'm getting on a call with somebody, I've got like, oh, they just went on vacation, right? They're like all those little details. They just had a baby. This is their baby's name, or like their person's pregnant and they're planning, and like they have a gender reveal, right? Like whatever's going on in their life. I try to just document those things so you can recall it in conversation. So instead of rapport building around the weather, which is like my number one biggest pet peeve on calls ever, I'm like, if you get on a call and someone's talking about the weather, hang up. Drop. I don't know. Because there's a million ways to prepare and have better conversation or better dialogue than the weather. It's a safe default.
What's your default?
I usually go in prepared because I have something like I've either done the research about the person. If it's a first time meeting, I'll bring it back to something that I learned about them and the research that I've done when I prepared for it, or I jump right into business. Honestly, it depends. If it's it depends on what the conversation is. So if it's me with a group, it might be like some friendly banter tidbits about like what's going on with their company, because that's always helpful, right? Bring it back to business. Or if it's a one-on-one, depending on my relationship, we'll have different dialogue.
And just for the record, Szuyin, do you remember how Kristi broke the ice on this conversation? I do. When she first met you 45 minutes ago?
I don't remember.
She needed help pronouncing your name. That was her icebreaker.
But I didn't even need the help. I said it right. I just didn't want. I had a fear of saying it wrong, because I think that it's rude and insulting, Josh, when you show up to this podcast and you mispronounce our guest names like you do.
I did do that last time.
You did do that. I don't think it was last time. I think it was a couple episodes ago. Regardless, you still did it.
So Yin, there's something actually on your LinkedIn profile that I want to probe, and it's like specific, and I'm not trying to promote it or anything, but I actually want to understand it, because I've heard a lot about Pavilion at like the go-to-market community, which is primarily I associate with being a sales leader community. And I see that you've been very active in Pavilion, and you've done a couple of their courses or workshops, right?
Yes.
CCO school, enterprise go-to-market school. And these are like 10-week courses that you've enrolled in. Is there value in Pavilion as a non-salesperson, as a customer success leader? What exactly did you take away from those courses? Who would you recommend them for? I'd love to get your candid experience on that for others.
I really enjoyed my experience, and they are trying to build it out to be more holistic across the go-to-market space. So they're building out more specific customer success materials now. I honestly did not look at any of the like lower level CS trainings. I was really focused on more of the executive level trainings. I enjoyed the CCO school. I did take away some really helpful tidbits from a lot of the courses.
Like what?
I think the other thing that was, well, they just had, different like frameworks and structure and examples of how different leaders have done like customer journey mapping and things like that. So I would say for most of the things they covered, none of it was new, but it was refreshing to help me learn just how other people have approached different problems.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Just curious. Always been curious about that.
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Yes.
You're a new or newish mom. Congratulations.
I am.
Do you have a son or a daughter?
I have a daughter. She's
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, she's newish now. She's 19 months, so she's
gonna be like she's 19,
mode.
And so she's in college, so newish.
Okay, so emphasis on the ish part.
Yes.
What's one thing that you've learned from motherhood that you've applied to becoming a better customer success leader?
So a big thing that I've read about in different parenting books and blogs is this concept of like respectful parenting and giving your children a safe space to be able to learn and explore on their own. And I've been drawing parallels between that to the work I'm doing now at Transcend, because we are on this journey right now of really going back and exploring all of our products and just thinking about how can we make it easier for our customers to be able to do this on their own. And I just keep thinking to myself, it's like, we haven't made the safe space yet, or the space safe yet. Is that what I said? We need to put in place the right boundaries and guardrails and give them the right level of guidance where they can feel like they're able to explore and learn and maybe fail safely on their own. But I don't feel comfortable putting our customers into our product like that yet. Like, we still need to kind of do more hand-holding than I would like to. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I have drawn a connection with right now is understanding that, and I'm not trying to compare the customers to children or anything like that. Like, it's not like they're babies, but I think there's a real fundamental of how we all learn best, which is, you want to be able to have experts that have your back and that kind of help set up the structure and, the safe zone for you, and then let you go and do what you do and explore on your own.
Cool. Love it.
Think of it as kind of like, the way I'm talking to my team about it right now is kind of like baby proofing your kitchen, but how do we baby proof our products in a way that allows them to play and have fun safely?
Josh, is there a reason why you're asking about babies?
As far as I know, I'm not having a baby anytime in the next 9 months. So I think, no, we're good. Kristi, why don't you end us, Kristi, on that note?
Josh is not having a baby, everyone.
See you all next week.
It's fun. I've had fun.
I hope you enjoyed your time with us. We enjoyed getting to learn a little bit
Absolutely.
more about you. And thank you so much for participating in our banter and not letting Josh scare you away.
Oh,
See, she's
I
made
love
it through the whole episode.
I did, and I didn't regret it. So,
See?
yes, thank you both.